I have a confession to make. I like the Wii U. In fact, I'd go as far as to say I really like the Wii U. I experienced two of the greatest games of all time on it. You could control the TV using the gamepad's TV button so my parents wouldn't beat me for constantly losing the TV remote. And the edges of the discs are buttery smooth. Seriously, if you haven't felt one of these bad boys before, you're missing out. All of that more than justifies my embarrassing feelings for this system. But there is another aspect of the Wii U that makes me remember it fondly, and it's often overlooked. The Wii U apps. In an era of Nintendo famous for its pre-installed applications such as Wii channels and all the goodies your 3DS had like Street Pass Mii Plaza, the Wii U never got much attention for its own software. This is an absolute travesty, because there are definitely some gems in here that don't get talked about enough. The pre-installed software we got on the Wii and 3DS was so memorable, so I don't blame people for having those apps fill up most of their memory. I have way too much free time today, so I want to look back on the Wii U's pre-installed software and see how it measures up compared to Nintendo's other consoles. The Wii and 3DS set the bar very high for this sort of thing, so let's see what the Wii U has to offer. Let's start things off with Mii Maker. This is, in my opinion, the most underrated Mii Maker ever. This is because it has some of the best qualities of each console Mii creation tool. For one, it's on a home console like the Wii and Switch, so you can share the Mii Maker experience with others. It's always fun to create Miis with others in the room so you can try to make Miis of each other, or just goof off and create the weirdest, most unlovable creature you can dream up. Compared to the 3DS where you're usually just in the corner by yourself making Miis, doing it on the TV with friends is way more fun. Like the 3DS, the Wii U Mii Maker also uses a touchscreen via the gamepad. This is the most intuitive way to make Miis in my opinion, but the Wii's pointer controls aren't too far behind. The Switch technically has a touchscreen for Mii making, but most people aren't going to bother undocking their Switch for it. The Wii Mii Maker also shares the Create Mii from Photo option with the 3DS. I'm not a fan of how accurately it portrays the size of my nose, but it's a fun option to have. It's weirdly enjoyable taking a picture on the gamepad then having that picture thrown up on the big screen so everyone can see a side-by-side of the picture and the monstrosity that the app tried to create from it. Lastly, since it's the third iteration of the Mii Maker, it has a really good array of options for customizing Miis. It may not have as much as a Switch and definitely not as much as Miitopia, but it does have more than the Wii and 3DS. There's plenty here to be able to make a Mii for anyone. I do have a couple problems with this Mii Maker. Earlier, I praised this version for being on a home console so you can easily share the experience with others in the room. The only problem is that all the options don't take up a lot of space on the TV, so it isn't quite as easy to collaborate on the Mii making experience as on other consoles. My other gripe is that the Miis you create aren't thrown together in one big plaza so they can interact together like on the Wii or even those little chambers like on the 3DS. Instead, they just get thrown on these display shelves, which is just sad. The Wii U does technically have a plaza for Miis in the form of Wara Wara Plaza on the home menu, but that's not quite the same thing and it's mostly other people's Miis. We'll talk more about it later. I want all the Miis that I created in one big plaza that they can have fun and walk around in, and I can just watch them. Overall, fantastic addition of Mii Maker. Jeez, I spent way too much time on that. I just really like talking about Mii Makers. They're basically games that come pre-installed on your console. There's no reason for an avatar creator to be this enjoyable. My 3DS activity log says I spent 23 hours in that version of Mii Maker alone. Look, I know what you're gonna say, and yes, I'll Google an autism test once I'm done recording. The next application is the Wii menu. As you're probably aware, the Wii U is backwards compatible with the Wii. With a name like Wii U, I'd be very concerned if it wasn't. The backwards compatibility is more than just being able to pop a Wii disc in and play the game. You actually have a stripped down version of the Wii menu built into the console. For some unknown reason, it's lacking some of the goodies such as the photo channel, forecast channel, and news channel, but it does return the Mii channel and Wii Shop channel. However, the Mii channel is missing some features such as the Mii Parade. Guys, you might be right, maybe this thing is cheeks. Actually, if you have a modded Wii U and VWii, you can restore some of these channels, including the photo channel. I highly recommend this, because any console worth a damn should have the photo channel. Okay, so this is an interesting one. The next app is Wii U Chat, a video chat software for your Wii U. It was discontinued on November 8th, 2017, but thanks to Pretendo, a fan project that returns all sorts of online functionality to the Wii U and 3DS, we're still able to use it today. Most people question why this app needed to exist and never touched it, but the Wii U is a unique piece of hardware with a camera built right into its controller, so I say why not have this feature? This gives you a natural and convenient way to video chat with people on the big screen. The thing I find really interesting about this particular app is how ahead of its time it ended up being. Maybe that's not the correct way to put it because it released around the height of video chat, but a lot of people assumed it was just a fad that would die off pretty soon. And sure enough, it did. However, it ended up resurfacing after a while, and now video chat, especially FaceTime, is very popular with my generation, and I think it's sticking around this time. I'm not saying Wii U chat would be super popular if it were released today, since that would require more than me and like 10 other people to own a Wii U. Also, I don't really know how much my generation would care about doing video chat through a TV, but I think the concept would have been appreciated more today. Back in the day, I only had like one friend that had a Wii U to use this feature with. I couldn't really do Wii U chat at my house because I grew up in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere and didn't have a stable internet connection. I really wanted to use this feature with my boy Steven, so what did I do? I brought my entire console over to his house, of course, and we would just video chat with each other in the same house in separate rooms. It was a blast. You can draw on each other's faces and stuff. The next app is the good old system settings. I'm gonna make a lot of people upset with this, but I don't care. I'm standing up for what I believe in. This is one of the worst goddamn system settings of any Nintendo console. It is mandatory that you use the gamepad to do anything because all the settings can only be configured on the gamepad screen. Also, the music is extremely mid, which is especially disappointing since the 3DS gave us this banger. Very disappointing stuff. Our next app is the activity log. It can show what you've been playing on a daily or monthly basis and for how long. If you click on a particular application, you can see exactly how long you've played and how many times you've played it. It's a pretty good activity log. It's not as good as the 3DS one where it clearly lays out all your software in one place and you can get all sorts of statistics, but it's still quite good. At least it doesn't round playtime to multiples of 5 and only show playtime for the last 20 games you've played, because why in the world would they do that? That wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. So Parental Controls has its own app for some reason. This was the first Nintendo console I owned where my parents did not set up parental controls, so I'm very grateful for that. Health and safety information, the thing that's only useful for hacking your console. Before we move on to all the juicy stuff down here, there was one more app that I wanted to talk about that didn't come pre-installed on your console, but it was heavily marketed as an app and also incredibly underrated. That app was none other than Wii Street U. Let me explain. You know how you'd be bored in class so you and your friends would just dick around on Google Maps by exploring cool areas and trying to find your house? Wii Street U gave you the ability to seamlessly do that on your TV. And the gamepad allowed you to take advantage of technology like motion controls and the touchscreen. You could even use the Wii balance board to navigate Street View and pretend like you were walking around. It was really weird and random, but really cool. The app was free for a limited time, but later you had to pay $5 for it. I loved using Google Maps as a kid, so obviously Wii Street U was really cool to me. The service was shut down in March 2016, but it looks like people over at Pretendo are working to revive it. Okay, so now we have these apps at the bottom of the screen. These were the ones you could access while playing a game without completely closing out of it. For some reason, System Settings is not one of these apps. If you need to change some things real quick, you have to completely X out of your game. It's blasphemy! First is the friends list, a list of all your friends. I'm making a YouTube video about apps for your Wii U, therefore mine is empty. This next one could get a video of its own. Miiverse was Nintendo's in-house social media platform exclusively for discussing and sharing gaming experiences, and I loved it dearly. It was actually my first social media. I was exposed to all kinds of things. Miiverse was on the 3DS as well, but that came later in an update. It was on the Wii U first. The service shut down in 2017 unfortunately, so most of the footage you're seeing is from Juxtaposition, Pretendo's replacement for Miiverse. It's pretty much the exact same thing, just purple. They also replaced the iconic yeah button with a generic like button. I'm not exactly sure why. There's separate communities for each game that you can be a part of, and you can post your thoughts, screenshots, and drawings. I think the coolest aspect of Miiverse was the way it integrated seamlessly into games. Some games like New Super Mario Bros. U would have posts appear in the overworld, and in the Wind Waker HD you could find bottles floating around with posts. I love my single-player games more than anything, so stuff like this is really cool to me because I get to feel a sense of community without playing with others in real time. Miiverse also integrated into the home menu in the form of Wara Wara Plaza. This was a plaza that had a couple of random communities represented, and you could see some of the things people were saying about these games right from your home menu. This was cool because, again, that sense of community, and you'd get it as soon as you booted your console up. For me, that feeling of community that Miiverse provided was extra important during this generation. It's no secret, the Wii U failed horribly. There weren't a lot of Wii U owners out there, so there weren't a lot of people to share my experiences with. Miiverse gave you an easy and convenient way to do just that, and that was really big for me. You might be wondering, wow, this app sounds amazing. Why is it not on modern systems? Why was it discontinued? Well, there isn't one clear answer to this, but myself and others have narrowed it down to two main reasons. For one, not having Miiverse forces people to share their gaming experiences to a wider group of people on other social media. Miiverse was solely for people who owned a Wii U and 3DS, so sharing stuff on other platforms is free advertising for Nintendo. The other reason was all the not so family friendly stuff being thrown around that made family friendly Nintendo quite unhappy. I mean, what could they have possibly expected giving a bunch of nerds a drawing feature? In general, the stuff posted there could be pretty messed up. Was anyone else here one of Ted's victims? I totally support Nintendo's values of being a family-friendly company, but I feel like they push this too far sometimes. It led to them taking away a service that I loved dearly as a kid. I used Miiverse all the time when I was younger, and I turned out fine. This was me as a kid before Miiverse, and this is me now. Rest in peace, Miiverse. You were too good for this world. Next, we have the Nintendo eShop. It is automatically the best eShop because of this little minigame you could play while the store loads. The music was also fantastic. We got so many bangers from the Wii U eShop. Also, it ran smoothly, had less crappy shovelware, and had an intuitive layout and was easy to browse. Moving on, we have the Nintendo TV app. This one was discontinued on August 11th, 2015, and the app isn't even on the home menu anymore. Nintendo TV had the potential to be pretty cool and was another app that was ahead of its time, as it solved a problem that we have more and more today with streaming services. Nintendo TV was basically an app that bundled all your streaming and even cable services into one convenient place, so you could search for shows, movies, and sports all in one app. I never got the chance to use it, but it sounds pretty cool. You want to know what else is cool? The internet browser. The best internet browser of any console. The gamepad's touchscreen gives you a super easy way to browse the web on your TV. Trying to type with a game controller or TV remote can be a nightmare. The coolest thing you can do here is press the X button to hide what you're searching on the TV behind a curtain, and your Mii will get up and try to entertain you. Look at him go. When you're ready to reveal what you're up to, hit the X button again and BAM! The Wii U's browser had way more charm than it needed. I will say, an internet browser is not a feature I'm necessarily missing on newer consoles. Do you guys remember how heated people were getting after the Switch came out and it didn't have one? I wanted it as well at the time, but after thinking about it some more, I can't think of a single reason I'd want to use an internet browser on a console when I have my phone in my pocket pretty much at all times. The last two apps are just notifications and download management. I'd like to discuss these more, but we'd be here all day. The lore behind these apps is wild, so stay tuned. Overall, the stuff you got on your Wii U wasn't quite as flashy as what you got on your Wii and 3DS, but there was definitely some gems here. The Mii Maker, Wii U Chat, Miiverse, and even the internet browser were all highlights for me personally. And that's all I have to say, so farewell.